Today I'm going to show you how to change the color of clothing in Photoshop. It's very quick and simple. There's a million different ways you could do this, but I'm going to show you one of the easiest ways. So you can see in the picture of this little girl, she's kind of wearing an outfit that doesn't really go with her surroundings. By the way, if you want to work with this digital backdrop, I'll link it in the description. So we're looking at her clothing. It's adorable, but it doesn't fit in with the nice soft muted purples and greens that we have going on in our scene. So we're going to go from this to this in just about 30 seconds of your life. So let's get started. So first of all, we're going to get rid of this purple layer. I've already changed the color. All right, so let's turn off the ground elements. These come with the backdrop, but you'll see what we're working with here. We've just inserted our girl and she doesn't quite fit in with the scene. So I want to change the color of her shirt from this fluorescent pinkish orangish color to more of a lavender color to match her surroundings. So what I'm going to do is I'm clicking on the layer that contains the girl. I'm going to come up here and create a Hue Saturation Adjustment layer. Okay, and I don't really know. I'm guessing that the colors in her shirts would fall under maybe the reds. So we're going to come up here where it says Master, and we're going to scroll down and choose reds and see if that'll affect the colors in her shirt. Okay, so we're just going to choose this top slider and just kind of see what works. Oh, one thing I forgot. Very important. You want to click on this little box with the arrow crossed out on the bottom. Click on that, and what that does is it creates a clipping mask so that anything you do in this Hue Saturation Adjustment layer will only affect the girl. It's not going to affect anything in the surroundings. So I've clicked on reds, and now I'm just going to move my top bar back and forth, and you can see as I slide this bar, it's only affecting the girl and the colors on her, and the fact that it's affecting the entire girl, not a problem. We'll fix that later. We just want to change the colors of her shirt. So right now it's like a fluorescent orangey, and I'm going to see if I can, here we go. We're bringing it further to the left. It's picking up more lavender tones, which is perfect. That's exactly what I want. So right about there, and the colors in this backdrop are not super saturated, so I might even want to bring the saturation down just a touch. Okay, so now the purples in her shirt are matching the purples in the flowers. I kind of want to change the greens in her pants too, to sort of match the greens that we have going on here in the grass. So let's come back up here and choose greens. There might also be some cyans in her pants. We'll have to kind of experiment with that. So I'm just going to choose greens, and let's see. We're going to again take the slider back and forth. So the greens are only really affecting the grass that's around her. That's not really what I'm going for. I kind of want to find the colors that are going on in her pants right now. Let's choose cyan. Yep, they're more of a cyan. So you'll see as I've got this slider moving up and down, I can completely change the color of her pants. So let's see. Let's come closer to this end. We're adding more yellow into the color of her pants, and I think that's just about perfect right there because there's a lot of yellowish tones going on in the grass surrounding her in the field. So I like that, but again, it's too saturated, so I'm just going to come over here and bring the saturation down, and there we go. So just like that, we've changed the color of her clothing. Obviously, we've also changed the color of a lot of other things that we didn't want to affect. I'm going to go ahead and turn on the ground layers. These are nice. They just help cover up the bottoms that are hard to blend sometimes. Okay, so here we have our Hue Saturation Adjustment layer, okay, and a white mask. White reveals, black conceals. So the fact that this mask is completely white tells us that everything has been infected. Not infected, affected. Okay, we're going to change this to black. Control I. So now nothing has been affected by the hue saturation layer. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. We only want her clothing affected, so I'm going to grab my brush, make sure that white is my foreground color, and I'm just clicking on these arrows up here to toggle back and forth, and I'm going to paint this Hue Saturation Adjustment layer effect only where I want it. So I'm using my left and right bracket keys, change the size of your brush, and I'm just going to paint Hue Saturation only on the areas I want it to take effect. So really just on the stripes of her shirt. Okay, and I'm going to take my time. Photoshop does a really good job of sort of finding the edges, and it knows it's only supposed to be changing the red tones that are going on. So if we accidentally paint over another section that has a little bit of red tone, we can always paint that off. Like she might have some red tones in her hair, so we might want to change our brush to black and paint that off if we were to go over the lines. So we also want to paint the effect over her pants because we did change those as well. This is the color we changed it to. And it's only going to change anything that had reds or greens in it. Now you'll see just then I went out of the lines a little bit. I accidentally painted over her skin because her skin clearly has some red in it. So I'm going to click on my brush and choose black as my foreground color to paint that back off. And now I painted off too much. Now I'm going to switch with the arrows to white to paint it back on just over her shirt. You're going to want to take your time on this. Every picture is different, so depending on your clothing that you're changing in your picture, some of them are super intricate, others you can literally just sloppily paint over because it's all just one color. Just kind of depends on the picture, but this is super simple. All right, so I'm gonna pause and finish painting this color onto her shirt, and we'll come back and see the final result. Okay, so I've finished changing the color of her clothing. So if I click on the eyeball, you'll see a before and after, and I did sort of a sloppy job. You'll definitely want to take your time. But while I was painting, I noticed something. You can see the colors sort of bled. When the picture was taken, the orange colors of her shirt were actually sort of bleeding into the white. This isn't something that we did. This was actually in the photo itself. So this is really simple to fix too. I'm actually going to create another Hue Saturation Adjustment layer over top of the one we just did. And again, I'm going to click on the clipping mask, so we're only affecting the girl layer. We're not affecting anything in the background. The only thing I want to do is decrease the saturation on her whites. So basically, we're going to bring no color into the whites. I'm going to bring that almost all the way down. Okay? Click on X to get rid of that. Again, this is affecting everything. We only wanted it to affect certain things that we paint on. So I'm going to click on the mask, do Control-I to turn it to black, so now nothing is affected. Come over here and grab my brush. Make sure that my foreground color is white because I'm going to paint this effect on. And I'm using my left bracket key again to make the brush smaller. And I'm going to paint on this desaturation that we just did only where I want it to be, in the whites. So I'm essentially just taking all of the color out of the whites. Okay? And if I click on the eyeball, you'll see a before and after. How easy was that? 2 seconds. Got a little bit of orange going on up here too. And if you're doing this right, you'll really take your time and make sure it matches everywhere. You don't want some of the whites to be desaturated and others to have lots of color tones going on. So yeah, so that's really simple to fix as well. The Hue Saturation Adjustment layer, there's so many things you can do with it, and one of my favorites is just to change the colors that you have going on. It's actually pretty simple. So that's all there is to it.